All right, hello and welcome back, ALEKS students. So this is another ALEKS topic that's called naming and drawing alcohols without alkyl side groups. In this topic, there are a variety of different ways that these questions are going to be asked. In this one, we're asked just to name the structure. So we're given a condensed structure here. We need to come up with what the name is for that. In other versions of this topic, we'll be asked to draw a condensed structure, or we'll be asked to draw a skeleton structure. So I'm going to go through a few different examples of this topic to just give you a sense of what those are, and talk through the different strategies and processes that we should go through. For this one, basically the first thing we're going to want to do for each of these structures that we're given is figure out what the main carbon chain is. At this stage, you're probably familiar with that concept and you've probably done that quite a bit. But essentially, all I'm doing immediately as I'm seeing these structures is looking for that main carbon chain and figuring out how long it is. So in this one, we've got, for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons in a row. That means our parent structure here is a pentane. And then we've got 2 OH groups off of this, so we've got a diol. In this one down here, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, that's a pentane main chain, and then I've got these different OH groups. And then down here, we've got propane, so 1, 2, 3. That's our longest carbon chain. So we've got a propane alcohol here. So knowing what those names are for methane, ethane, propane, butane, so on and so forth, is going to be very important to answer these questions or to be able to draw the structures that we're asked to draw in later examples. But let's go ahead and do this. So basically what I'm looking for here is, number 1, main chain, and then number 2, how I can number these so that I have the lowest numbers possible. So in this one, it actually doesn't matter if we go from this left-hand side or the right-hand side. We're going to end up with the same numbering, which is 2, 4. So on basically the first thing we're doing here is we're saying on carbons 2 and 4, that's where these substituents appear. And then we've got pentane, diol. So pentane is that 5 carbons, and then diol because we've got 2 different OH groups here. In this one, again, we do have that pentane we counted earlier, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the numbering does matter in this case. If you start numbering from this side, we would have a 1, and then we'd have a 4 and a 5, right? So this would be, if we started counting, if we labeled this as carbon 1, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pentane triol. But actually, if we number from this side, we get lower numbers. So that the goal here is always to have the lowest numbering possible. So if we start from this side, we've got 1, 2, 5, pentane triol. So again, the numbering for where our substituents are: carbon 1, carbon 2, and carbon 5. And then we've got OH groups everywhere, so this would just be pentane triol. And the last one here is going to be 2 propanol. So if we just have one OH group, then it's not, it's a single OH, it's a single all. So we can just call this 2 propanol. This is also isopropanol. So isopropyl alcohol, if you are familiar with that, rubbing alcohol, that's what this is actually. All right, so let's go ahead and check that, and we'll do another example. And in this one, we're asked to draw a skeletal structure. So again, we need to pay attention to what it's asking us here. Skeletal, which is a line drawing, versus a condensed structure. So in a skeletal structure, we're going to draw things that look like this. And at each end here, end of our lines, that represents a carbon. And at these bends, again, that represents carbons. And then we assume just the proper number of hydrogens. We don't need to indicate that. We don't need to label this with any of this. For a skeletal structure, we're just worried about drawing the lines. And then for the OH groups, those we do need to fill in, right? We need to show those and label those. But here we've got, and I actually just drew a pentane, parent here. 2, 3, 4 pentane triol. So pentane, that's going to be our 5-membered ring. And then we're going to just put in these OH groups. So this would be 2, this would be 3, this would be 4. And then we can label those as OH, OH, and OH. And that's really all we need to do for this skeletal line structure, as we go through this drawing. So let's go ahead and check that one. and we got it right. Let's do one more. Maybe we'll do two more depending on what we get here. So now we're back to naming. We're given the skeletal structures, right? So again, we should be able to look at these and interpret these. So this would be a carbon, this would be a carbon, this would be a carbon. So here I can see that my main structure is propane. And then I've got, off of the 1 carbon or the 3 carbon. And again, it doesn't matter which way we're labeling this, it will end up being the same numbers. 1, 3 propane diol. Here we've got 1, 2 ethane diol. So I see just 1 carbon here, 1 carbon here, so that's 2 carbons. And just knowing what those how many carbons is ethane, how many carbons is propane, how many carbons is butane, obviously very important for this topic. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we've got our pentane again. In terms of our numbering, we are going to number from this end so that we'd have a 1, a 3, and a 4. That's going to be the smallest numbers we can get. So this would be 1, 3, 4 pentane triol. And check that. And I think we'll do one more drawing one, because I think the last one will be drawing the condensed structures, which is all the different possible ways that we can get these types of questions. So a condensed structure is where everything will be labeled, but we just won't be showing all of the bonds. So 2-propanol, and when you're drawing these condensed structures, I think if you're actually just first starting out, it actually is helpful to just draw the parent first. So if I just wanted to draw the parent, so when I say parent, I just mean, I see propanol. So I'm just going to draw propane first. So propane should have 3 carbons in a row. And then I'll worry about filling this in and adjusting my structure here. So 2-propanol off of the 2nd carbon, I'm going to have my OH group. But now I've sort of screwed up this carbon, right? Now this carbon has 5 bonds to it. We definitely do not want that to be the case. We want to have 4 bonds to it. So here we've got our, we've just adjusted this to be CH. But this strategy, I think, is a good strategy for drawing these condensed structures. That way you have more of a process that you can go through, and you're less likely to make any silly mistakes. But we'll go ahead and check that, and that will be that. So hopefully that gives you an overview of this naming and drawing alcohols without alkyl side groups. Thanks very much.